Yes, it was a long time coming, but Richmond finally bared its fangs on grand final day once again. After finishing 13th in 2016, Damien Hardwick's Tigers defied all odds to deliver the club its 11th Premiership Cup to a legion of devoted fans. Hello and welcome to the 2017 Richmond season highlights show. 35 years since their last grand final appearance and 37 years since they'd won their last premiership, and judging by the celebrations that haven't stopped since the final siren, it was definitely worth the wait. We are joined by two Richmond greats, one a current premiership player, All-Australian captain, and a past great, a legend of the club and a Hall of Famer. I speak of none other than Alex Rance and Matthew Richardson. Welcome, boys. And Alex, firstly to you, congratulations. What a year.
It still hasn't quite sunk in yet. The year itself, it was just full of ups and downs, and to be capped off by a pretty amazing, fun game of football, it was great.
At what stage during the grand final did you start to allow yourself to think that, hang on a minute, we're going to be a premiership winning team here?
I didn't. In all honesty, I never allowed myself to. There was 2 games throughout the year in GWS and Fremantle where it was taken from us late, and so that really burned in my guts, and I didn't want to allow myself to think, you know, we've got this one and then potentially come back. And there was 2 minutes left and Bash was like, let's enjoy this. I said, no, mate, we just got to chill out here, and we just got to one step at a time. And I probably should have enjoyed it then, but that's the process-driven nature that we've got now.
Richo, you were great. You've kicked 800-odd goals for the Tigers over a decorated career, but you didn't get the opportunity to play in a grand final. When we saw some vision there, what were your thoughts on a day that was clearly very emotional for you?
Oh, I just couldn't believe it, to be honest. I guess being around the club for so many years, and my dad played there and supported Richmond since I was a kid. My first footy memory was, you know, the 1980 Premiership, and I knew how long that wait was, let me tell you that. So, yeah, when it sunk in that the Tigers were going to win, just the emotion hit, and it was just unbelievable, to be honest, and it was really overwhelming.
What was the 30 minutes after the final siren like? It's a unique experience for players that have the privilege to celebrate with their teammates and their staff and their coaches, but more importantly, the legion of Richmond fans.
Yeah, it's beautiful chaos. It's just running around from open arm to open arm with... I just remember running straight to Dave Ashbury, a guy who he's had so much... trouble with injuries and just getting himself right and being in and out of form, and for him to have the year that he's had and contribute the way that he has as a leader as well as his performance, to share that moment with him just brought me to my knees and tears in my eyes, and looking up at my family in the crowd as well. That was a super experience for me too. So that whole 30 minutes after that siren was just really emotionally stirring.
Well, the final siren started the celebrations, and it was a big Saturday night, but the Sunday at Punt Road was unbelievable as we have a look at the teammates being presented on stage, and the after party continued Sunday afternoon. Remarkable scenes.
It was, I think this really shows the passion and support that the Tiger faithful have for us, and we've always known that the Tiger Army is such a huge, powerful force, and this is, I guess, a nice little reward for so many years of patience.
2016 didn't end well, Richo. Comprehensive loss in the final game against the Sydney Swans. Who could have thought, who would have dreamed, perhaps, the players and the club? But a disappointing way to finish last year, and then 12 months later, they stand on top of the AFL Mount Everest, holding the Premiership Cup.
And I think that's what made it so special, Swatter, because this time last year, you know, no one could have believed it, to be honest. I mean, any person worth his salt that followed footy, you couldn't have predicted Richmond would come back and win a premiership. Yeah, maybe they could bounce back into the 8, like Damien Hardwick said, but gee, I don't think anyone saw it coming, and that's why it was so sweet when it did happen.
What were you thinking at the end of round 23 last year? What were your thoughts as a playing group, and then what was the focus going into the beginning of the year?
How soon after round 23, because we got whopped by Sydney, and I got my pants pulled down because I was on the end of a lot of free-flowing ball movement from Sydney. So there was a lot of anger, frustration, bitterness, like feeling like we didn't really have a direction, a rudder. So there was those emotions stirring inside me, but that was probably still just very raw from the game. And I remember writing a lot of things down because I had a season review coming up with the coaches, and I wanted answers to things that had gone on throughout the year. And, you know, I was running out of time as a player, and I didn't want my career just to sort of peter out. I wanted us to charge for something greater, and so I asked those questions and got good answers to them from the coaches and staff. So that gave me ease going into the pre-season rather than still holding on to that anger.
Well, the club made some really important off-field decisions with regards to the recruitment of Blake Caracella, Justin Lepich, and also one of Richmond's favourite players, Neil Baum, coming back to the club. They were really important decisions for the club's off-season, Richo.
Yeah, I guess as an outsider, I know a little bit about the club, but I don't know the inside like Alex does. But from the outside, you looked at that and you thought, gee, there's some good appointments there. Blake Caracella, highly regarded as an assistant coach. We knew what Lepper brought to the club. Rance, you'd done a lot of work with him in the past, had experience as a senior coach at Brisbane. He was going to be better for that. And we know what Barmy brings. He's been at Richmond as a premiership player, went to Geelong. The first year he was there, they won a premiership, and he knows what it takes. So I thought that was a really big appointment as well, just to bring probably a steadying calm around the footy department. And Barmy would think he's the man now, wouldn't he? He's brought another flag in.
Another one. It's a bit of a head wobble.
Yeah, he loves it.
Damien Hardwick, what did he do after that loss to Sydney last year, and what was his great strength this year that empowered the players to achieve what they were able to achieve?
So I think it's pretty well publicised that Dimmer went away and sought help for not so much that he had a broken leadership style or anything, but just to better himself, and as a lot of people do in the off-season. And the main difference I saw personally with Dimmer was just his ability to embrace vulnerability and embrace imperfection, because our game is so imperfect. And for him to be able to say, I love what you bring, rather than we need to fix up these different areas. And he was never an overly negative coach, but just to be able to, I guess, let go of some of those things and allow us to play a style of football which came more comfortably to us was the main difference.
Was it more about your strengths as players and just focusing on them?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And off-field and on-field as well, about understanding more from a connection point of view what makes up each individual player. Why doesn't this person like to get out on the sauce? Why does this person react in a certain circumstance? And then from there you can have that connection on field, and when it's late in the game and you're tired, you've got far more inspiration to do more, rather than just like, oh yeah, I want another win.
It's interesting you say that. I listened to Brendan Gale pre-game to the grand final, and he talked about the authenticity of the group and the fact that as football players, and reflective of life, we all tend to hide behind a mask. But there was an environment that created that just allowed the players, from what I understand, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but allowed the players to talk about vulnerability and some of their life experiences. And as a result of that, it sounds like the group really bonded incredibly well.
Yeah, that's 100% spot on. And feeling like you belong and you've got something to offer and contribute is a hard thing in a competitive environment, because you're always trying to get an edge. So you're always looking at the things, your faults. So I need to get quicker, I need to get stronger, my ball use isn't exactly 100%, rather than saying, I'm a contested beast, I'm not too bad at marking contests and things like that. So there was a big process in stripping yourself back as an individual to say, you know what, I do actually have something of worth to offer at the highest level, not just as a VFL player and not just as another also ran. And for that to spread across the whole group, not just the playing group, but the coaches did it as well, and other members of staff. So it was a really refreshing, cleansing experience.
Can see your passion when you're describing that. It's fantastic. Richo, we talked about the off-season recruits from a coaching point of view and Neil Baum, but the decision and the astute decisions made by the club to recruit Dion Prestia, Josh Caddy and Toby Nankervis, they were fantastic contributors on grand final day and through the course of the year.
Yeah, they were. It was great recruiting, I guess, by Blair Hartley and his team there. And this man here, Toby Nankervis, I think he was a revelation all year. We didn't really know a lot about him as a senior player. He was at Sydney for a number of years and didn't get a lot of opportunities, but he played every game and was just simply outstanding, a competitive beast in the middle of the ground. And, you know, Caddy and Prestia, bona fide senior players that added a lot of depth, Rancy, and played their best footy at the business end of the year.
I think they brought a lot of calm in the heat. Sometimes when you can bring young players in, I guess Jack Graham's probably the exception to the rule there, but just, you know, Dion's ability to, where's an option, hit that one, rather than, oh no, what's happening, blast it. Yeah. They're what makes those guys a little bit more valuable, because defences love blast kicks and love uncomposed possessions and things like that. So to have those guys just to add a bit of calm, bit of composure meant so much.
Well, it was a great year in the end for Richmond, but off the back of a disappointing way to end their 2016, a big loss against the Sydney Swans, which Alex and Richo have talked about. The season couldn't come quick enough. Let's go back to where it all began in 2017, the beginning of the AFL home and away season, rounds 1 to 5.
Richmond launched into 2017 against traditional rival